Welcome to the Carl Jackson podcast in Detroit. That's right. We are live in Detroit, Michigan, doing this podcast. Normally we're in studio, but I wanted to take the show on the road considering I have a lot going on with my productions and my team. And so I was like, hey, why not I do a show on the road? So we're in the beautiful Detroit, Michigan. You see behind me the night sky at the location, my hotel that I'm staying in right now. So we're shooting this in my room, basically, and have a nice view. And I wanted to share the view with you guys and talk with you guys a little bit. So this is the Carl Jackson podcast in Detroit, and we're going to do another one in Nashville. Carl Jackson podcast, the Carl Jackson podcast in Can't talk tonight. The Carl Jackson podcast in Nashville. And I think we might have one more we're going to do in Atlanta. I'm still not sure about that one yet, but it's basically the Carl Jackson podcast on the road. So there you go. The Carl Jackson podcast on the road. I wanted to talk to you guys tonight. I have a necklace on, so please forgive me. Matter of fact, let me just take it off so it's not making noise all night tonight, okay? I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about something that's very important to me. Normally I have a guest on, and I will have a guest for you guys, a nice surprise in Nashville. We have a guest that will be with us on that night when we record. But I wanted to, tonight I wanted to do a podcast episode without any guest. I wanted to just talk to you guys, the viewers. And the reason is because there's a lot of information going on around right now concerning COVID. Should you take the shots? Should you not take the shot? Just all sorts of thoughts and ideas and emotions concerning just the whole concept, the whole concept of where we are right now in the United States of America, really across the world, because the world right now is really feeling unity in a negative sense, but also in a positive sense. In the negative sense, there's a lot of people that are in a very sunken state, if you will. Everything's about fights and wars, and when I say war, meaning internal, spiritual, it's a lot of energy, and it's not always positive. And then there's another side to this where a group of us, a lot of us, are wanting to see positive things happen in the next, the next few years moving forward. And so I wanted to talk about COVID tonight because I think it's important that I make my voice aware, considering I do have a national television show through this podcast, and I have, people listening on CJC Radio, and then we have the podcast on Spotify, on iTunes. I have a global reach right now, and so it just makes sense for me to give you my thoughts on this. And I think where I want to start with this tonight is I want to start with Dr. Martin Luther King. And I mentioned him in my last episode that I did with Dr. Roberts, Danielle Roberts. And we mentioned a little bit about Dr. Martin Luther King and his I Have a Dream speech, but then the speech that happened after the I Have a Dream speech that was basically innovative and mind-blowing at that time. It was about economic inclusion. But what I want to talk about is, a lot of people don't know this, but when Dr. King, when he was at the prime of his civil rights movement, there were a ton of people who did not like him. Obviously white, but there were some that were black. A lot of people that were black did not like Dr. King. They thought he was They thought he was disruptive. They thought he was probably like a conspiracy theorist in a way. They thought he was a dreamer. They thought he was someone that didn't know what he was talking about. They felt like he was in over his head, you know? And it just got me to thinking about this COVID situation and how many people who are sounding the alarm right now saying, hear me, listen to me, you should or should not take the shot. And, the question lies in, well, who do you listen to? Who do you talk to? Who do you value? In your life, in your consciousness, in your spiritual walk, who do you value? Who's the most valuable, maybe, in your life that you would listen to? And if this person said, go this way or go that way, would you listen and make a decision based upon their evaluation? And I thought about that. And it's like, who would I listen to? Who would I go to for advice and listen to them in terms of what direction to take? Imagine the people during the time Dr. King was alive who were against him. And you cut to now 50, almost 60 years later, and now most of them, the majority of them, love Dr. King. They think he was magical. They thought he was wonderful. But at the time, he was too controversial, and so certain people did not cross the line. They just said, you know what, he's not my guy. But that changed over the course of years, which means he was right. He was right to have a dream. He was right to move things forward. He was right to create the speech, I have a dream. He was right to, talk about economic inclusion. He was right. And it's evident that he was right, right? We see the fruits of his labor to a certain degree. As a matter of fact, some would even say he would be disappointed because of all the work he did, only to see us where we are now, somewhat repeating the patterns. So it got me to thinking two questions. A, what changed that allowed people to say, you know what? He was right. What changed? And then the second thing that it got me to think about was how he must have felt trying to get people to see what he saw, the promised land, as he says in one of his speeches, in the I Have a Dream speech. He saw the promised land, but he didn't know how to get us there, So what did he feel? What did he feel? What was he thinking? What was the crust of his energy at the time? For him to say, I'm going to continue moving forward until I get this mission accomplished. And all I could think about was he was kind of like the voice crying in the wilderness. There's a story in the Bible that talks about John the Baptist, who was the voice crying in the wilderness, the crazy one, the insane one that kept saying, Jesus is coming. He's greater than I. He is the Messiah. And we're going to be listening to him, and he's going to lead us the rest of the way. And people were like, yeah, okay. And then when Jesus came, he went through the same resistance. He was greater. He did do more things. He was the Messiah, but he still was fighting to convince people that he was. So what challenges do we face in making decisions? And then what challenges did they face trying to convince us? And it brought me to one answer for both questions. It is an individual decision and walk in this thing called life. No one can convince us. Martin Luther King could not convince us that he was the civil rights leader that was going to take us to the promised land. And I would even say he wasn't even at all times convinced that he was supposed to do what he did. You know, even Christ on the cross said, "Why did you forsake me?" He even had doubts. There's scriptures about him in the garden praying, saying, "Oh man, you know, this cup that I'm about to drink of basically allowing these people to murder me, can you please get me out of this?" You know? And this is if you are to believe the scripture. My point is, in life, there's always been resistance to change, resistance to truth, and resistance to the individual that's hearing the truth to actually take the initiative to change based upon the new information. We are meant to evolve. We are meant to grow. This is my point. We are meant to evolve, and we are meant to grow. But there's always resistance in growth. There's always resistance in evolving. Think of it this way: if you're a parent, I have a daughter. She's 7, about to be 8, and it has been a complete resistance in her growth. She's in 2nd grade, and she doesn't like school so much, and she has favorite subjects versus subjects that are not so much her favorite. And you know, trying to get her to understand that it's all important and it's all inclusive. It's all important, and she needs to take it all seriously has been a challenge for me and her mother, because let's face it, you know, we all think we have all the answers and we figured out life. But life is about evolving. Life is about growth. And so what am I saying? What am I going around the ring saying right now? Here's what I'm saying. When you don't know the answer, when you don't know what steps to take, when you don't have a clue as to the next move for your life, the only person that has the answer is you. You have the answer. You have the ability to look at your life and say, this is what I need to do. It is up to you to take on information that maybe never resonated with you before this moment in time. But now you have to go forth and really think about this information that you're listening to, the information that you have. The internet has made it where we have the ability to find out anything we want to find out, right? So imagine, you know, I don't know, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 70 years ago, a lot of it was based upon someone convincing you that the information that they have was far greater and more superior than the information that you have, minus going to a library maybe. That was pretty factual. I mean, you kind of had to go with the experts at that time. Technology has advanced us, though, to a point that we don't have to listen to anyone but what's within our spirits, what's within our hearts. And we can go to Google or your favorite, I don't know, your Safari, whatever your favorite web company is, and you can find out any information that you want to find out to make sound decisions. My point tonight is this: it's time for America, it's time for the world to start thinking for themselves. We no longer have to have something spoon-fed to us, and we no longer have to resist change. because resistance came from not knowing, the fear of not knowing. But that is no longer relevant because we, individuals, you can take the time now to go research anything that you want to know on this planet. Anything, including should you or should you not take the vaccine. Now, for me, I'm a firm believer in the maker that created all of us. I'm a firm believer that he had or she had or they had the ability to give us a well-designed body. The human body is amazing. It's fascinating. I mean, picture it this way. If you cut your finger, right? And if you could actually film your finger for a week, right? In what they call high speed, what do they call that? High speed, it's not slow motion, but it's when they, time lapse, that's the word, time lapse. If you could time lapse the wound on your finger, you could actually see it heal in real time. And you could see that your body, that cut that you had on your finger, after a few minutes of watching a time lapse, you would see that it healed itself, that it literally healed itself. When we see stories about Superman and Wonder Woman and the X-Men and Batman and all these cool stories, we're thinking that they're superhuman people who can do stuff in real time and defeat whole galaxies by themselves and move planets and do whatever Superman and Batman can do, right? But what we don't know is, or what we have yet to believe, is that we can do it. Those stories are stories about humans. The X-Men, the Marvel comic, those films are about humans. See, when you take time out of the equation, we're all immortal beings. Yeah. And if you don't believe me, do a time lapse on your finger. Cut it and see it heal itself. And you're going to see that blood and mark go from that cruddy, nasty thing that it becomes to just going back to the way it was. That's proof that you are immortal. Your body can do amazing things. So it doesn't need to be tampered with. It doesn't need it. I'm a firm believer that the immune system that was designed by God, or designed by whatever you consider a God is. And I'm learning as I get older to not try to tell people who God is, because they can find out for themselves that God is already in them, right? It's for you to figure that out. But anyway, we all have an amazing immune system that if we allow it to do what it does, it literally tracks our behaviors, our patterns, our everything concerning keeping us healthy. And it's built to take care of that. Whatever it is, it's built. So yeah, you might be down for a second, or, whether it's a cold or whether it's whatever, but then after a second or two, you're back up because your body is able to figure out what's going on, send nutrients to that particular area of your body, and within sometimes days, minutes, hours, weeks, your body's back to normal. Time. Take time out of the equation. Remember what I said? If you take time out of the equation, all that happens just like that. See, time's got us messed up because we're on this planet Earth and it's in a structured form. So we feel that that time just messes up our thoughts. We don't know how to use our brains and our focus correctly so that we can really achieve the things that we want to achieve. What am I saying? What am I trying to say to you guys tonight? What I'm saying is it's okay to allow your body to be what it was designed to be. It is okay to use your thoughts. It is okay to use your power, your strength, and go within to the God that's already in you and seek answers for your life. And what you're going to find out 9 times out of 10 is that everything that we see in technology, in the digital age, the digital age that we're in, is really all based on the premise of the human body. Yeah. Whether it's the cell phone, whether it's your tablet, your computer, or your security system that you have in your home, or the television, or the internet, or the clouds that we call it, all of it is based on pretty much nature, the human body being a huge part of that. Nature, just nature in general. Animals, birds, bees, how they create and co-create and move and maneuver, and how they think and how they connect to the oneness that we are on this planet. When people can really grasp that concept, then the answer is easy. It's simple when it comes to, should I take the shot or should I not take the shot? And I'm not here to tell you not to take it or to take it, because I think that goes against the point I'm making, which is if I'm telling you what you should or should not do, then that makes me no different than the people that is trying to force the shot on you. And that brings me to my next point. I have an issue with anyone who says, do what I say, do what I command, or else. I have an issue with that. And you should too. You should too. You should too. When you look at Dr. King, when you look at Jesus, when you look at their life pattern, one thing is in common with these two, amazing individuals, and that is they were trying to change people's lives for the better. For the better. So the resistance came from people who were going, how do I know it's for my better? And then the people that were probably doing it, Christ, Dr. King, they probably were thinking, do they know that we have good intentions? Why am I being fought? Why am I getting so much resistance? And what makes it even worse is these guys were getting resistance, not to belittle Christ as a guy and he's just like Dr. King. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm just imagining them as humans going, how is it that the government or this group or that group can just say whatever and they believe it, but then here we are here to say, no, you might want to investigate that and go this way, or at least look at what we are trying to show you that will help humanity become greater or better. But then there's resistance to that. You know? Why is that? Because you program. The word program comes to mind. You're programmed to not receive anything that's positive. You're programmed to think that only certain people or individuals have your best interests at heart, when the truth is, the only person that has your best interests at heart is you. That's not to say other people don't care about you. That's not to say that other people don't, want to see you succeed or help. But everyone has a calling to do certain things on this planet. And so, your focus should be on that and to help humanity grow. And once you've done that, then the next step is not trying to convince people, but just to give the information, and then you release and let the universe design the path for all of us. Because the truth is, we're all on a path, all of us. Spiritually, what is going on with the coronavirus? What is it really trying to tell us? Well, in my opinion, it's trying to tell us that we need to get back to the nature and the love that's within us. The healing virtue is there. How do we get there? With our intentions and our focus. I'm in Detroit right now at a wonderful hotel casino. And I was downstairs the other night, just kind of looking around or whatever. And I was just thinking about Vegas. You know, Detroit and Vegas have a lot of similarities when it comes to the whole casino. You know, they have singers, they have comedians, they have, you know, the slot machines and anything you want, food, strippers, whatever you want, they have it. I mean, they're here to serve you because they want you focused and your intentions on spending money, right? What if we took our focus and our intentions and placed it in the right areas, like our lives, like our desires, like our family, loving them and supporting them and trying to do what we can to give them what they need? Imagine what kind of world this would be. The world would not be in an atmosphere where you would even have to make a decision, because there would be no pandemics. There would be no outbreaks. There would be none of that stuff, because we would be such in harmony with the one that created us that we would be in complete bliss and happiness. The powers that be, do they really want that for us? I'm just asking a question. I'm not saying any names. I'm not trying to say any. I'm not going into it's the corporations. It's this. It's that. It's none of it. It's you. You are projecting and bringing to your life what you desire. So none of that other stuff matters. It's the corporations. It's the Congress. It's the politicians. It's this. It's that. I can just go down the list of all the people to blame. And guess what you're doing? Your focus and your intentions on blame. That's it. What if you move your focus and intention from blaming to gratefulness, thankfulness, forgiveness, love, security, spiritual security, financial security, family, your children, your husband, your wife, boyfriend, your girlfriend, your dogs, your animals that you love? What if you put all your focus on that and your intentions on that, and you sent positive energy of thought? Because thought is an energy. Don't ever think it's not. What if you turned off the news and the rhetoric? Did I say that word right? I'm lazy sometimes with the tongue, if you don't know that by now. My brain goes so fast that I can't get it out fast enough before my brain is already giving me other thoughts. So I can be lazy sometimes with my words. But no, seriously, like what are you doing with your intentions? What are you doing with your focus is my point. What are you doing with it? Why do you need to be motivated to stay positive, but need no motivation to complain and be negative? Why? Why is that? Why is your frequency and intentions in a negative state as opposed to staying in a positive state? Those are questions you should be asking yourself, and those are the things that I want to see happen on this planet. I want to see all of us use our intention and our focus as individuals, but also collectively. We need to have two different lists. We need to have an individual list, and then we need to have a list of things that we should be doing collectively. I was reading somewhere where there were groups of people that were meditating daily together at a certain time for positivity to come into the world. That's what we need. We need more of that. Because guess what? We are using our sense of belief, our intentions, and our focus all the time. We use it unknowingly because we are believing beings and creatures. Every time you turn on the news and listen to something negative, you're being programmed to believe that negativity. Or every time you turn on a television show like this one and you're hearing something positive, you are programming yourself to think positive. But your body is always, and your mind is always in intention and focus mode at all times. Right now, I am focused on talking to you guys. My intention is to get you to understand what I am talking about. So I'm focused on that. I'm not focused on anything else. I have CJC playing right now on my television, CJC network that you're watching me on. I have it playing, but I'm not really paying any attention to it. I'm not focused on it. My bed is on the other side of the room, and I have the night sky behind me, but I'm not focused on it. My intention is not to keep doing this every 3 or 4 seconds. My intention is to focus on you and to talk to you. And see, the more we understand that we are always doing that, the better our society will become. The better our lives will become when we are able to intentionally focus on the thing that we want to happen in our lives and in our families' lives and in our atmosphere. We're always told, if they don't want to have nothing to do with you, then you walk away from them. Don't keep negative energy around you. But we should be trained to think this way. Every time we walk into a place, every time we walk into a restaurant, every time we walk into our house, every time we walk into a hotel, we are changing the room because of our energy. Why does it have to always be this person is negative, so I'm going to stay away? That's fear. How about every time I walk into a room, everybody's energy is in tune with what I bring? What are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing to the room? What are you bringing to your life? What are you bringing to society? What are you bringing that's positive? That's the question that everyone, all of us, should be asking every second that we are awake. And if you do those things, I guarantee you the answer will come to you as to should you support the shot, should you not. Those answers will come to you. For me, I believe in the body. I believe that God created our body to do the things that it needs to do. And that's enough for me. That is enough for me. My heart goes out to the people that have died from COVID, and my heart goes out to the people that died from taking the shot, allegedly. I've heard a lot of people who've taken the shot and they've died. So it's an individual thing. It's an individual thing. It's an individual journey. I don't think there's much I can really say more than what I just said tonight in Detroit. I thank you guys for watching and listening. And, when I first started this podcast, the initial thought was I would never be on television. And I never in a gazillion years thought that I would be on the CJC network talking about this type of stuff. But I'm here. We're in our 5th season. When I first started this, I was going through a difficult time in my life. And I decided to really just talk, thinking that only 3 or 4 people would listen to it. Didn't give it much thought about people really, listening. It was not filmed at all. It was just recorded in my home or wherever I was at. I would pull out my gear and just start recording. And I started developing these episodes Started asking friends that I knew, that some were famous, some weren't, to be guests. And so the first couple seasons, if you ever go back to listen to some of the old stuff, and you can if you go to CJC radio, and you go to cjctv.net, and you can actually click on the CJC radio, and it'll take you to the radio station that we play just positive music and old podcast episodes 24 hours a day, and other influencers and positive thinking gurus. But when I started, it was just me talking. But I had made a choice when I first started. I said, I want to not just have guests, which it's turned out to be. I'm always having guests, But the original thought really was for me to just come on and give you my commentary on things that can help better your life, and maybe bring on people every so often that would talk about things that could help better your life, which is what I did last episode with Dr. Danielle Roberts. I wanted to bring her on because she had a lot of positive things to say. And I'm going to be doing more and more of that, I think, in the future. I'll still have my celebrity guests because, let's face it, people like watching them and talking, and they like our conversations that we have. They like me interviewing. You guys like me interviewing some of the celebrity guests that I've had. So I will continue doing that. But I think it's important that I also balance it out and have podcasts that are like this one, where I'm just really talking to you guys about things that can help you in your spiritual walk. I don't have any books to sell. I don't have any motivational tapes or anything that I can say, hey, click on this and you can go get that. This is strictly about just doing my part to help humanity. I'm blessed to be able to talk to you guys on the CJC network. I'm blessed to be able to be the CEO of the network. So it just makes sense for me to just give this gift of conversation to all of you that will listen. Let's stay positive. Let's stay incredibly loving and grateful. And if we do that, I promise you life will get better. I'm a living witness that life will get better. Live from Detroit, the Carl Jackson Podcast. Thank you for watching, and good night.